Hello, dear colleagues. So let's start our webinar. Today we will have a second part of our webinar on Eurasian Union system registration. And today we will review the conformity assessment routes, some aspects of technical, biological, and clinical evaluation and mutual recognition procedure, how it should work. I would like to note that in this webinar, we are trying to summarize our own experience in Eurasian Union procedure, information from competent authorities, and information from our colleagues in Russia, Belarus, and Kazakhstan. And sometimes it's very contradictory information. For example, there are different points of view on clinical evaluation, GSPR, and manufacturing plant inspection. We will present to you the latest information on all the topics. This is the agenda of our webinar. First of all, we will review the scheme of the registration, the basic stages for different risk classes, timelines, requirements, etc. We will discuss the different kinds of testing, manufacturing plant inspection, how it should be done, the subject expertise. We will review this procedure as described in the Council decision and in the recommendation. And we will review the mutual recognition procedure in the Eurasian Union. Let's review the scheme of the registration. First of all, let's remember some important things that we learned during our first webinar. It's from Commission decision number 46 on the rules of registration. It's a basic document describing the registration process. The first section of this document describes the basic conditions of medical device circulation and dossier submission. And this is section first, points 4 and 5. Registration and examination, they mean expertise of a medical device, are mandatory conditions for its release into circulation within the Union. And before submitting an application for registration and examination of a medical device to the authorized body of the reference state, the applicant collects evidence of the safety and effectiveness of the medical device and prepare the relevant registration dossier. And from the point 6 of this decision, what applicant should do to prepare the dossier. Applicant may get preliminary consultations and conduct technical tests, studies, biological studies, test for the type approval of measuring instrument if your device is measurement instrument, and conduct clinical trials in accordance with the rules of clinical trials. And points 10 and 11. The registration of a medical device is carried out by the reference state on the basis of the results of the expertise of the medical device and approval of the expert opinion by the concerned states. The document confirming the fact of registration of a medical device is a registration certificate, and this registration certificate is issued without expiry date and valid within the Union. It means that it will be valid in these countries you will choose as reference countries and concerned states, concerned countries. And the second section of the decision number 46 contains the following: conditions of submission, requirements to the registration dossier, procedure of reviewing and timelines, letters of deficiency, subject expertise, and very important things, it's inspection of manufacturing plant and reason for refusal. As you can see, the decision number 46 on the rules of registration contains all the information on the registration process, but the detailed requirements to the technical testing, biological studies, and clinical trials are included in separate documents, and we will review them later. Generally speaking, the registration process in Eurasian Union consists of two parts, pre-submission part and after-submission part. The first, it's registration dossier preparation. And Annex 4 to the decision number 46 will help us to understand it. So we should prepare the administrative part of the dossier, perform the technical tests, biological studies, type approval for measuring devices, and clinical trials. And I would like to highlight risk management file. It's very important document now. It's point 20 in the list of the Annex 4. It's a list of the documents. I will explain why this document is so important later. And stage second, it's registration dossier reviewing. So it includes submission of the dossier, reviewing of the dossier, its subject expertise, manufacturing plant inspection, not for all medical devices, preparation of the expert conclusion, and after this stage, mutual recognition by concerned states, and it leads to registration. This is the scheme of the registration. Let's review the steps. As I said, there are two big parts. The first is before submission. It's left part of the scheme. Here you can see the basic parts of the registration dossier. Applications for registration and expertise. I would like to know that you should have a reference country and at least one concerned country. It is not allowed to register device in the reference country only. Next part, it's administrative part. These are points from 2 to 16 in the Annex 4 to the decision number 46. After this part, technical test results, biological studies results, and clinical trials results, except first risk class medical devices. And we will discuss the clinical trials and current situation with the trials separately. Risk management file, as I said before, it's a very important document. It was repeatedly noted by our authorities that risk management is a cornerstone of Eurasian Union registration system. That's true enough for any medical devices registration system. Of course, now we are providing risk management file and process failure modes and design failure modes and facts analysis during the national registration. But in Eurasian Union registration, it's obligatory requirement. So it's cornerstone of the registration to provide the full risk management file. IFU or manual of use, and moreover service manual for the devices that require specific installation and maintenance activities. I would like to note that spare parts for the device should be included in the service manual to be on the safe side after the registration. And these manuals of use, IFU and service manual, should be in Russian language and national language of chosen concerned states. It's important. And state dues, it's payment confirmation for reference country. As you know, there is a recommendation number 29, guidance on content and structure of the dossier. It's a very helpful document for the applicant. It contains a detailed description of each document. It's highly recommended to use this guidance during dossier preparation. The next stage after submission, and there are some steps of the process. The first step, it's a formal check-in, the completeness of the dossier and correctness of the application. It should be checked before subject expertise. This task should be done in 5 business days. If the dossier is okay, it will be sent to the next step, and it is the moment when the registration will start. If there are some questions, you will get a letter of deficiency, and in this case, you will have 30 business days to answer the questions and complete the dossier and submit your explanation again. The next steps will be different for risk class 1st and 2A non-sterile and other classes. Let's review easy case. We have low risk medical device. The dossier should be reviewed again. Responsible person in the competent authority should be appointed, and decision of the start of the registration should be made during 3 days. In our case, we don't need to perform quality management system inspection of the manufacturing site for 1st and 2A non-sterile devices, and our dossier should pass to the step 2nd, subject review. Timeline for this procedure is 60 business days. If there are some deficiencies in the dossier, you will get the letter of deficiency, and you should provide the corrections or additional explanations or maybe some amendments to the testing reports during 60 business days. After that, your explanations will be reviewed, and if they don't satisfy the authorities, you will get a refusal in registration. If everything is correct, the authority should prepare the expert conclusion with recommendation for registration of the medical device. This conclusion, here it's the right part of our slide, this conclusion should be placed in common electronic database of competent authorities, and from this moment it will be available for reviewing by concerned countries' authorities. It is the procedure of mutual recognition of the expert conclusion. The conformity assessment route for 2A sterile, 2B and 3rd risk class devices is different. Not very different, but includes quality management system inspection of the manufacturing site before expert conclusion preparation. Duration of this inspection doesn't include in the total timelines of the registration procedure. The rules of the manufacturing plant inspection you can find also in the decision number 46, but these are very general words. The quality management system inspection procedure itself is not described in details. For example, the essential requirements to pass the inspection are not available. But it definitely includes the visit of the inspectorate to the manufacturing plant and quality management system audit. Please note that reviewing of the audit report is included in the subject expertise process. We will review this procedure later and trying to summarize all the available information. After the successful manufacturing plant inspection, the dossier and audit report should pass to the subject expertise stage. Duration of the stage is also 60 business days. After the comprehensive reviewing, you may get the letter of deficiency. In this case, you will have 60 business days to provide the explanation and additional information. As in previous case, your explanations will be reviewed, and if they don't satisfy the authorities, you will get a refusal. So I would like to highlight that there is no place for additional letter of deficiency. If everything is correct, the authority should prepare the expert conclusion with the recommendation for registration of the medical device. This expert conclusion will be uploaded to the common electronic database, and from this moment it will be available for reviewing by concerned countries. And the final step, it's completion of the registration and mutual recognition procedure, MRP. On this stage, the expert conclusion is uploaded in the electronic database. The competent authority of reference country should notify the applicant on positive conclusion in reference country and asks to provide the state dues payment confirmation for concerned countries. The applicant will have 10 days to provide this confirmation. We know that there is a confusing situation due to misinterpretation from the applicants and authorities' side. And we know the cases when the applicants were asked to provide all the state dues before submitting. In accordance with the decision 46, state dues for concerned countries, registration and expertise. I just would like to highlight that these are two payments, please note it, should be paid. This state dues should be paid after positive expert conclusion, but not before. It's in accordance with the decision 46. After providing the payment confirmation, the competent authorities of the concerned states should provide the confirmation of mutual recognition or refusal in registration during 30 business days. In case of refusal, they should provide the arguments, the justification on refusal. On this stage, the concerned country also, please note that on this stage, concerned country should check the correctness of translation of the IFU or manual of use on the national language. So it's also important to have a good translation on the national languages. If the competent authorities of the concerned states haven't provided any feedback during 30 days, this is regarded as no objection and approval of the expert conclusion. If the concerned states are approved the conclusion, a reference country should issue the registration certificate where all the countries will be included. After that, the registration certificate, IFU or manual, and labeling will be uploaded to the electronic database of the Union. And this is the final step of Eurasian Union registration route. The next important thing, importation of the samples for testing. There are a lot of questions and concerns about the procedure. Should we get import permit in accordance with the current national procedure, or there will be specific Eurasian Union procedure? Currently, the samples for Eurasian Union registration are importing in accordance with the national procedure. In Russia, it's described in order 661, dated June 30 of 2020. The application submitted electronically via State Services web portal, Gosuslugi, here the screenshot in the bottom. There is a specific service permission for samples importation. So if you are submitting in accordance with the national procedure, you already know about this novelty. Now we will review the different types of testing required for the registration. Technical testing. The rules of the technical testing are summarized in the decision number 28. We should perform the technical testing for medical devices of all risk classes, but IVD products is an exemption and not require technical testing. It is allowed to perform field testing for capital equipment and not to import in Russia, for example, big X-ray unit or computer tomography unit. And I would like to highlight recommendation number 17 on the list of standards. It's a very important list of the standards implemented in Eurasian Union and harmonized. And technical testing should be performed only in duly authorized testing labs. Here you can see a screenshot from official register of the duly authorized technical labs, and here is a QR code to reach this website. The applicant should provide to the testing lab documents listed in the point 8 of the decision number 28. I just would like to highlight some important documents from the list. Application, of course, for technical testing, technical documentation, including drawings, specification, and explanation of the principle of action and other technical documents. Testing protocol, labeling info, packaging info, and national test reports. Generally, these are the basic documents to be provided. The samples also should be provided, and its quantity should be confirmed by testing house. So you should discuss this with testing lab. I've already told you how to get an import permission, so the national procedure work. The technical testing process includes the following stages: technical data analysis, reviewing of the technical documentation and test reports, original test reports, operational documentation analysis, so your IFU and manual of use will be reviewed. The next step, it's sampling and sample identification. The technical testing itself, it's the next stage, and issuing of the test reports. And please note that test reports should be stored for 10 years in the testing house. The latest news for technical testing. The list of standards I've mentioned before was updated 2 weeks ago, and there are 8 new standards, and 8 standards were replaced by the latest versions. So as you can see, the rules are updating during the game. Here is a QR code with the link to the standards. I recommend to check it. And also, I would like to add the important thing that the ISO 15223, it's ISO standard symbols to be used with information to be supplied by the manufacturer. ISO 15223. 4th edition that will be published in July is not included in the above mentioned update. So in Eurasian Union will be used 3rd edition. 4th edition of the standards contains about 25 new symbols and new definitions. I think you already know about it. It means that the medical devices will be labeled in accordance with the 4th edition of the standards, and you should explain the meaning of these new symbols in the documentation when applying in the Eurasian Union in accordance with Eurasian Union procedure. Generally, that's all for technical testing. Biological testing and the decision number 38. Biological evaluation is applicable to patient contacting medical devices and accessories to these devices. IVD is an exemption again. Biological evaluation includes physical and chemical testing, sanitation and chemical testing, biological evaluation in vivo and in vitro. The applicant should provide to the testing lab documents listed in the point 8 of the decision number 38. The documents are the following. Of course, application, technical documentation. I'm talking about, again, information about the materials, name of the materials and trade name. So I'm talking about the raw materials. So you should include information about the manufacturer, trade names of the materials, MSDS, safety data, and so on. If the device contains a medicinal product, certificate of suitability, information on authenticity testing, and all the information about safety of this medicinal product. So it's combinational product in accordance with the classification in Eurasian Union. Also, you should provide the biocompatibility test reports that already done in your country, in manufacturing country. country of origin, labeling info, packaging info, and, if applicable, standard samples of these materials. The biological evaluation process includes the following stages. Again, technical or safety data analysis, reviewing of the documentation and biocompatibility test reports, operational documentation analysis, sampling and samples identification, estimation of the contract duration. It's an important step. So biological testing itself and test reports issuing. Again, biological evaluation should be performed only in duly authorized testing labs. You can use the same link as for technical labs, but you should choose the biology studies labs in this drop list. It's the most complex and vague part now, clinical trials in the Eurasian Union. The rules of clinical evaluation of medical devices are included in decision number 29. There are also some important definitions in this decision. What is analytical and clinical efficacy, what is investigator brochure, what is endpoint, etc. We recommend to review this document very carefully. It's very helpful document. To summarize the content of these documents very briefly, clinical trials are applicable for all the types of medical devices. For IVD, we have special clinical trials, it's clinical laboratory trials. For high-risk devices, it's 2B and third-risk implantable medical devices. We should perform multi-central trials. It means that you should organize the trials in several countries of the Eurasian Union. Ethics Committee, it's chapter 3rd of the decision 29. You should get a decision of ethics committee, and it should be a local committee. So it will be a committee of a healthcare organization, not a committee of Ministry of Health. It's a current position of the authorities. Permission for clinical trials required. For IVD products, you should submit a notification. Permission is not required. So please review chapter 4 of the decision number 29. You should get the permission in the competent authority of the reference country. The procedure is described in chapter 4.19. And here you can find the list of documents that you should enclose to the application. And as I said before, for RVD, you should submit the notification. You don't need to get permission. And please note, technical files should be provided. As I said on the first part of our webinar, it's very mysterious document, so it's exist but not exist. So yes, this document is exist, and without technical file, you cannot perform the clinical trials. So again, the clinical trials should be performed only in duly authorized clinics. Here is the link to Roszdravnadzor database. Please note, it's not Eurasian Union database, because Roszdravnadzor's database is more up-to-date source. The decision number 29 contains the general rules, how you should prove the safety and clinical efficacy of your device, what kind of information and evidences you should provide. And please note that there are several appendixes to the decision 29. Appendix number 1, first appendix, it's just application form. Appendix 2, these are requirements to the investigator's brochure. Appendix 3, requirements to the technical file, please note. Appendix 4, requirements to the clinical protocol, or in Russian it calls program. but it may be puzzling definition in comparison with European terminology. Appendix 5, its form of the clinical protocol. Appendix 6, its specific requirements to the clinical protocol for IVD devices. Appendix 7, its form of the clinical protocol for IVD products. This March, I've participated in the educational event for healthcare professionals who are starting to implement the Eurasian Union system in clinic and would like to include their clinic in the list to get the authorization, I mean. And there were a lot of questions from healthcare professionals. I'm talking about the professional questions of the clinical workflow and paperwork. These were not regulatory affairs questions concerned about the registration process. Unfortunately, there were so many questions and only one or two concrete answers, especially for low risk level devices. Should you provide the regional clinical evaluation report and literature on clinical experience from the manufacturer, comparison with analog predicator devices and submit, and that's all? Or we should have a clinical evaluation done by clinic, so the procedure is the same as clinical evaluation in accordance with the current procedure. I'm talking about national registration in Russia. So how to do it? A lot of questions and only few answers. So again, the procedure is very vague for us, especially for multi-central testing, multi-central clinical trials. So it should be additionally explained by the authorities. The next thing is manufacturing plant inspection. As I said before, in the decision number 46, there are the general rules of the inspection. You can see this on the slide. So the manufacturer, first of all, should implement and maintain the quality management system for medical device manufacturing. And authorized authority or expert organization duly appointed by the authorized country inspects manufacturing plant in accordance with the requirements established by the Commission. Inspection of the manufacturer of medical products is carried out before the preparation of the expert conclusion, as I said before. And the timelines for inspection are not included in the total timelines of the registration process, but should not exceed 90 working days in total. And of course, the main question from all the colleagues and clients, how much? We can find the answer in the order number 726N. It's order by Russian Ministry of Health. You can see the name on approval of the methodology, how to calculate the payment, and how to perform the inspection. Yes, so the maximum price is in the bottom right cell. It's about 2.5 million of rubles. It's about 28,000 euro. It's maximum price. For example, it's a very distant manufacturing plant, and so the worst case, as we call it, very high risk level implantable device and very distant manufacturing plant. So let's talk about the subject expertise. We will review two important documents. Again, it's decision number 46 and recommendation number 14. So it's a recommendation for the examination of safety, quality, and effectiveness of the medical devices. We will review only several points because I've already mentioned all the things. It's point 24 from the decision number 46. Here you can see what steps includes the subject expertise. So first, it's analysis of the documents and materials about the safety, efficacy, and quality of the medical product. Analysis of the data on the development and manufacturer. So I would like to mention that there is not direct requirements to provide R&D documentation, but you should explain the how the device work, so the principle of actions. And you see the point E here. Yes, analysis of reports on the results of inspection of the medical products manufacturer. It's other points from this very huge paragraph from this decision number 46. Again, analysis of the data, analysis of the reports, and analysis of the clinical data contained in the report on clinical evidences. And again, point H, it's risk analysis. So again, you should provide the comprehensive documentation of risk management. So the full risk management file should be provided. And here I would like to highlight that they will check the medical products nomenclature code. And as you know, currently the nomenclature in Eurasian Union is harmonized with GMDN, finally. Next points from this paragraph. If your device contain a drug, medicinal product, so you should provide all the data on the safety of this drug, of this medicinal product, as I said before. Here, if your medical device contains a software, you should provide the documents of the software validation. All the documents that related to the software validation process should be provided. And please pay your attention to the point P, analysis of the data collection plan on the medical product safety and efficacy at the after post-marketing stage. So they talking about post-market surveillance plan. These documents also included in the appendix 4 of the decision number 46, and these documents should be provided in the dossier, post-market surveillance plan. So also I would like to highlight evaluation of the labeling, user manual, and other information on the medical device. So let's talk about the procedure of mutual recognition. Some aspects of the procedure. It's extract again from the decision number 46 on the rules of registration. I would like to emphasize on the situation when there is a dispute between potential dispute between authorities of the reference country and concerned country. So let's review this point. If necessary, the authorized authorities of the concerned countries may send their comments and proposal by means of the electronic system of the Union to the authorized authority before the expert opinion is issued by the authorized authority. When approving the expert opinion, expert conclusion, the authorized authorities of the concerned country can interact with each other to resolve emerging issues. After execution, so after expert opinion is available, the authorized authority of the reference state places an expert opinion in its information system, as I said before. And yes, they have 30 calendar days to provide their opinion. I'm talking about the concerned state authorities. And if they haven't provided the expert opinion, it's recognized as agreement. So, but I would like to highlight that there is a specific body to solve some issues between competent authorities of the reference state and the concerned state. It's let's call it some kind of board of Eurasian Union. And if the countries have some disputes between the opinion on the safety and quality and efficacy of the medical devices and different opinions from different member states, this board should solve these questions. Again, just a second. And yes, here I would like to jump to slide with the Commission board. Maybe it will be analog of medical device coordination group in MDR. So, in the absence of consensus on the approval of the expert opinion, the disputes are settled by applying of the authorized authority of the reference state to the advisory committee. So it's some kind of board or advisory committee on medical products that belongs to the Commission board. And all the materials from competent authorities will be reviewed by this board. Again, just a second. If the non-approval of the expert opinion of the reference states is recognized as refusal to approve the medical devices on the territory of the state. So if you choose Russian Federation as reference country and Belarus as concerned country, and Belarus authorities decline the expert conclusion, it means that you will get the registration certificate only for Russia. So it's the situation when you have a registration certificate that will be valid only in one country. So generally, that's all that I would like to say about the current situation. I hope I answered all the questions, and thank you very much for your time. So that's all. Thank you very much. Bye.